Hi guys, welcome to attempt number 3 to make videos and practice my tech skills. I'm back on Screencast-O-Matic for those who are interested in this kind of technology. I'm just on the home page right now, and I was just going to make a quick video about what's happening this week. We didn't really get a chance to go over it this week. There's 2 conversations. This week really isn't all that work heavy, but it's an important foundation for the rest of the semester. The first discussion is week 5, They Say, I Say, Demystifying Academic Conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So your task here is to, well, the task of the actual book itself is to kind of clear the fog from our perceptions about how we think and speak and interact within an academic, intellectual environment. Many people are intimidated by academia, college, higher learning, because they feel that they're ill-equipped with vocabulary and ways of thinking and certain kind of skill set. But the reality about academia and education in general is that education is here to make us better thinkers, more critical thinkers, and in my opinion, better citizens. So you're going to keep learning as you go, and you just have to be patient with yourself as you integrate new vocabulary into your way of seeing the world. So I might have mentioned in class that every class that you take has its own language, its own way of speaking, its own jargon, its own ideologies or belief systems, psychology, sociology, anthropology, geography, math, English. Every class itself, every discipline, and every class within that discipline has its own terminology. And so guess what? You're multilingual. You're learning all these different ways of thinking and speaking in different disciplines. So my advice for you as you engage with They Say, I Say and looking at demystifying academic conversation is that you learn to kind of see yourself as a multilingual navigator within academia, and that you give yourself a little bit of leeway to experience the learning curve of being multilingual, of going to a math class and learning terminology for geometry, and then an hour and 15 minutes later, hour and a half later, you're in an English class and you're learning about rhetoric, or you're in a speech class and you're learning about how to present an idea in a way that is received well by your audience, that's clear, that's organized, all the things you would go over in a speech class. So basically, the preface to They Say, I Say is about just taking that fog away and understanding that the way that you speak and think in academia isn't all that different from the way that you speak and think in the world, and that you can kind of keep the integrity of your own voice while also entering into new conversations and ways of understanding things. And it's really kind of an exciting and fun thing. So for this particular discussion, what you're doing, I'm just going to scroll down on here. It says you're going to read They Say, I Say, the preface, which is just the beginning before the introduction. I also added a link to the full book, the PDF form, an older version, and it's different pages. And you can see those pages that are listed here. So read the preface, and really you want to be an active reader. So while you're reading, you want to be highlighting, underlining, circling things, asking questions in the margins, taking notes in your journal, because remember, your journal is the place where you're storing your thoughts. You're storing your the physical manifestation of what's going on in your head. And that's really important as you read something, is that first thought, that first flash that Natalie Goldberg talks about, capturing it. So that way when you go back and you look at your notes, you can remember exactly how you felt and what you thought when you first read it. Because the first time you read something is very different from the second time you read it, and the third time you read it, and the fourth time you read it. Those of you that are into rereading, you understand that rereading is the #1 comprehension strategy. It's the #1 way to go deeper into understanding something that you've read. Most of the time, people do not reread things that they've read because it was hard enough to find the time and the energy and the motivation to read it once, yet alone go back and read it again. That I would like to gently encourage you, please reread. It is a really good skill. It will serve you well in the future. When you create a strong reading foundation, now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, you can look back and you don't have to do a lot of the ticky-tacky annotating. You'll notice that your annotating might get less, or you might be more specific, or your mind might capture information in a stronger way, and that's because you have that practice of annotating down. So I would encourage you to annotate. I think it's really, really important. It's how you become a great thinker. It's how you grow your vocabulary, and you connect on a personal level to the things that you've read. because no one else has your mind. No one else understands what's going on in your mind when you read something for the first time and your brain kind of gets a snapshot of all these ideas that are coming at you. So again, you're reading, actively annotating the reading as you go along, and then when you're finished doing that, you're going to hop on the discussion board, it says here, and share your thoughts on the preface to They Say, I Say by considering the following question. What was the most significant line or idea that you found in this section? What is something that stood out to you, right? In other words, what is one piece of advice that you found useful from this section? Share it to the discussion here in MLA, so quote it and tell us why you found it relevant, and then also be sure to respond to someone else. That's really important. Many people are forgetting to do that. Remember, this is a discussion. It's asynchronous. That means that we're not on at the same time, but it's still a discussion. It's really nice when you post something to the discussion board and you can go back and someone has read it and heard you and responded to you, and offered you insight into how your thoughts have touched them or what they think about the things that you have said, and that's how we engage in conversation. So I have an example for you about something that I thought stood out to in the actual preface. If you want to read my example post here, to give you kind of a little idea, and then again, there's the link. If you scroll down, you can see that people are posting. Actually, Taya is the only one that has posted so far on this class. This is the Tuesday class. But remember, don't be afraid to just jump right in, right? A lot of us are nervous and scared. We're not sure if we're doing it correctly, but guess what? There's no right or wrong way. If you're following the directions, which is post something significant that you found to be significant from the chapter that spoke to you and maybe will help you or assist you on your academic journey. Don't be afraid to post something, right? Just be courageous and bold and just post it because it's going to help somebody else. So I highly encourage you to do that. You go back to the homepage real quick so you can see what the other discussion is. So the other discussion is review of the Little Seagal Handbook. There's several different editions of the handbook, and the newest one, the one that we have with exercises, isn't actually on here. So the one we have for class is going to be a different page number, and I apologize. As soon as I grab it, it's in the trunk of my car. As soon as I grab it, I will update this discussion thread so it's included. But you don't actually need the Seagal Handbook if you don't have it or if you don't want to go find it like I have to go find it. There's a link to the reading here if you click on the PDF. And then it's also in the packet that I handed out, the yellow packet. So you can go ahead and click on it and you can go to it. But your task here is to read over the textual analysis, which is now called the rhetorical analysis. In later editions, they kind of revise the wording. And then so you're going to read over this. I apologize that it's sideways. I believe you can rotate it. I don't know if I can do it while I'm actually on the thread, but let me see. So bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and see if it will let me. So I don't see, I did see someone in class rotate it. Oh, here it is. Bam! So you're going to go ahead and click on that little obvious rotate clockwise so you can read it. So basically this section is similar to what we reviewed already in class with the rhetorical framework, but it's coming from a handbook. So the handouts that we had for class were based on the Greek rhetorical understanding of rhetoric from Aristotle. And this one also comes from that paradigm or that mindset, but it's specifically rhetorical analysis and then the elements of rhetorical analysis or textual analysis. So again, I encourage you to annotate this. If you can print it out, you can write on it, or even just get your journal and have your journal next to you while you're reading through the tips, the key elements of textual or rhetorical analysis, the tips for rhetorical analysis, and if you keep going, you'll see the few other sections that are in here, which is ways of organizing a rhetorical analysis. For essay number 2, that will be your task, to perform a rhetorical analysis on one of the readings that will be upcoming. So it's going to be, your options are Martha Nussbaum's Human Capabilities, Henry David Thoreau's Civil Disobedience, or Martin Luther King Jr.'s Letter from Birmingham Jail. All of those we will go over together, and you'll discuss them online as well, starting next week. So I just want to go ahead and remind you, it's very, very important that you take notes in your journal. Your journal is where your thoughts are, as I mentioned before, and you're also being graded on it. I don't know what's in your mind unless you write it down or you communicate it to me. And so the journal is a great opportunity for you to do that. So I want to encourage you, as you're taking notes, create that structure of the information that's coming into you, that intake that you're getting. You're getting all kinds of information, and guess what? When information is presented in a text, if you look here at what I'm pointing at, there's a reason why this is in bold. There's a reason why it's orange, because it's supposed to stand out to you. There's a reason why it says W6A or it's marked in sections. Those are all markers for you as a reader so that you can say, oh, you know what, this must be important. And so those are the kind of things that are going to create the cluster, or if you're into doing bullets, however you want to take notes is however your brain thinks, right? So you want to try different ways. Try a cluster, try bullet points, try listing things, try doing a free write in response to the information to see how much is your brain really taking in, how much are you absorbing, what are the key things that are kind of popping in your brain that you can get out on a free write. So again, I really, really highly want to encourage you, take notes, actively read so that way you're engaging with the material in this kind of sacred, physical way. You know, most of us, we don't read something and remember it. Our minds are so complex and dynamic that we have to do other things with the visuals and the images that we see. We have to write them down. We have to use writing as a vehicle towards a deeper understanding of something. And that's what this class is about, is practicing those techniques so that way you find them useful and so they transfer into other classes when you're writing about geography or history, political science, women's studies, whatever it is that whatever class it is that you're taking. These writing skills and reading skills are just foundational. They're going to be really, really helpful, and they're going to help you, they're going to offer you an opportunity to feel confident in yourself as a thinker because you've kind of processed it on that deeper level, let it sink in with you. So again, good luck, and please post any questions that you have in the question discussion. I hope that you found this video helpful, and I hope that I didn't go too fast. So what I'm working on for the month of February, as I mentioned before, is captioning, but I'm also working on slowing down so that way you can fully hear what I'm saying and so I don't hyperventilate from not breathing. All right, thank you. Have a great weekend and good luck with rhetorical analysis and demystifying academic conversation.